Aita for making my daughter get her own place after getting pregnant. My daughter, 25, has always wanted kids. She's just been that type of person. I also knew that she said she'd do it alone if she needed to, but did say she'd wait until 30. She just graduated from a master's program and got her first 9 to 5 well-paying job, so she's been living with us to save for a house. Well, the other day she sat me down and gave me a bag. Inside was a framed ultrasound that read grandpa. I was flabbergasted. I asked how, because she's a lesbian. She said she found an app where you can get men to donate sperm for free or low cost. She said she found one, used a dropper of some sort, all done at an Airbnb. She assured me he got a standard panel and that his only contribution was sperm. Here's the thing, our house is small. We have a room for my daughter, a room for me and my wife, and then an office for me, since IWFH. After talking about it with my wife, we told her she had 9 months to move out. I said it'd support her emotionally, but I don't want a baby here. She said we'd share a room. I said she shouldn't have tried to conceive while under our roof, and that had it been an accident, I'd be more willing to let her stay. But she did it on purpose. She can afford rent elsewhere. She just wants to save money. She broke down crying and said she thought we'd be happy. She hasn't spoken to us since. Am I being an asshole? NTA, she's 25 not 15. If she was planning to get pregnant while living with you and continuing to live with her was part of her financial plan, it was absolutely her responsibility to talk it over with you first. I hope you can mend your relationship with her and offer her support in other ways. Contrary to what others are saying, I think your relationship with your grandchild will be better if they don't live under the same roof. Also, that site your daughter used to find a donor sounds sketchy AF and will likely lead to major legal issues. NTA 9 months is plenty of notice. Actually too much if she already has an ultrasound to wave around. That's an excellent point. NTA. Planning a pregnancy while living rent-free in someone else's house without even talking with them first is definitely an asshole move. You aren't throwing her out helpless in the street. Either she can support herself financially, but just hasn't wanted to. 3 guesses who she thinks will be babysitting while she works her 9 to 5. 2. And who's also going to be footing all the extra medical costs, baby costs, and literally everything else that comes with a kid. No sleep, no breaks. NTA. If it was an accidental pregnancy, different story. She chose to get pregnant in the sketchiest manner possible. If I'm being honest, while living in someone else's home, just assuming you'd go along with it. You are being reasonable in giving her time to find a place. She clearly has no idea what goes into being a parent if she thinks she can contain the child to a room she shares. What about childcare? Does she have a plan for that, or were you just expected to handle it for her? The donor was screened for STDs. What about genetic abnormalities? She's going to have to figure some stuff out in a hurry. But it is not your responsibility, and you have every right to be upset that she planned a life-altering event and expected you and your spouse to be okay with it. I asked about genetic abnormalities and she said no. She says her work has a daycare center, but that's it. Your daughter is a goddamn moron. I mean that in the most non-insulting to you way. When you don't go through a registered doctor/sperm donor, it doesn't void parental rights. For the sperm donor, it means your daughter can take him to court to demand child support payment. The child support can even be required by the government in the event that she files for welfare. Your daughter, on the other hand, now has to worry that this random stranger she turkey basted with could at any point in the child life just show up and demand custody. Or worse yet, because he's the biological father, he could potentially just take the kid from school one day. As the father and there is no custody agreement, it wouldn't be considered kidnapping. NTA. She is 25 years old working a 9 to 5 career. She's more than ready to get her own place and isn't entitled to living at home with her parents anymore. NTA. She's 25. Well educated, employed, and she pulled this stunt on purpose. She is in for a rude awakening in having a child. Time for her to grow up and be a full-fledged adult. Yep. Life's gonna slap her upside the head really hard in another few months. Yup. I was early 30s with a planned kiddo. Lots of what the hell moments. NTA. She made the decision to get pregnant and assumed that you will still be there to support her without discussing with you Also the argument that she want to save money, but wanting to have a child seems a little backwards. NTA. She can't expect to live in your small house with a crying baby keeping you up nights. She needs her own place and it's time she moved out. NTA. Daughter defo should have asked y'all before doing this? Question mark? Question mark? The entitlement. NTA. It's your home. She should have told you before she decided to get pregnant. I don't know who is an up here, but is anyone else weirded out you can order sperm delivery on an app? What do you tip in that situation? There has to be a just the tip joke in there. NTA. It's understandable you don't want to live with a screaming, crying baby while trying to WFH. Your daughter should have discussed her plans with you before assuming she could stay there with a baby. But you know what they say about assuming things. It makes an ass out of you and me. NTA. You have raised your child. I love children. Always have. I treasure the memories of my girls as little children. However, I can't go back and don't want to do it again. I can't spend days without sleep anymore. I can't see forward, backward, and around corners in order to keep the kid from getting hurt anymore. I just couldn't live with a small child again. Your daughter took on this responsibility knowingly and willfully. Life didn't throw her a curve. She completely exercised choice for herself. But she can't choose for you. You have every right to tell her. This is her responsibility. She needs to move out and establish a home for her child. NTA. LMAO. And she thought this was a good idea. NTA. She wants you two to help raise the kid. And she needs to move out in the next 3 to 6 months. At 9 months, she'll be too pregnant to move. If she starts crying and saying oh I thought you'd be happy, then you and your wife need to turn to her with a puzzled look and say, well if you were doing this for us why didn't you ask us in advance? NTA. Your house. Your rules. She promised she would wait until she was 30. But decided to get pregnant and hope you would support/house her, and probably was banking on free babysitting services while she worked. She's 25. Making adult decisions. It's time for her to move out and stand on her own 2 feet and provide for her child now. NTA. Although drastic, the fact that she planned a pregnancy while living under your roof and not saying anything and just expecting you to be thrilled is a huge thing to be taken aback by. Make sure to communicate that you're happy for her, but that intentionally bringing a child into your home crossed a boundary that you're just not comfortable with. NTA. She really should have run this by you first, since you're the homeowner. Also, when she's living off the charity of her parents, it's really nuts that she'd do this on purpose. NTA. I mean it would be one thing if the pregnancy was accidental and she just had nowhere to be prepared for it. But she chose to get pregnant, went out of her way even to ensure that it happened right now. Being a parent is a big responsibility, and if she wasn't responsible enough to make sure all of her bases were covered before having a baby, that's 100% on her. It isn't your job at all to make up for her lack of planning. She just needs to step up for her future child and figure out how to make it work for them. NTA. She should have at least talked to the people supporting her before having a planned baby. I'm sorry but is there now a DoorDash for human semen? NTA. Wait. So, your problem isn't that your daughter inseminated herself with a turkey baster in an Airbnb using the sperm of some guy she knows nothing about. Did she even get his medical history? Closed bracket comma. It's that you don't want a baby in your house. I mean, priorities. Your daughter is either an idiot or she needs some professional help. What she did is not normal, rational behavior by any stretch of the imagination. You are NTA for wanting her out, but you should really make sure she's just stupid and not mentally unstable first. NTA. She made this decision, she can live with the consequences. NTA. She can't superimpose her life choices on you, especially when this will make your life uncomfortable. 9 months is more than enough time to find her own place. She planned this. Either she should have discussed the plan with you and wife before, or she should have planned for her own place. NTA. And I hope that is a real well-paying job. If she intends to be a single working mother paying for daycare, This seems like very poor planning on her part. NTA. But give her 6 months instead of 9. It'd be hard to kick out a newborn. NTA. But if you want to stand a chance at keeping your relationship with your daughter, make sure it's 1000% clear that you are only doing this because your house is not large enough for a child. She is pregnant. And probably because she felt lost in life and needed a purpose. And now her parents are throwing her out. You cannot wait for her to initiate. Because from her, most likely extremely emotional, point of view you have just cut ties. You can help her find a new place and still be excited about being a grandparent. That support is pretty apparently what she was looking for. Info. Does your daughter have a history of irrational behavior? NTA. She should have asked you whether you'd be happy before arranging to get pregnant while living in your house. NTA. But I wanna know what app this is that she's talking about. When I was 19 and fell pregnant, my parents let me move back in until the baby came, with an understanding that I'd leave again before the birth. I was 19, working part-time retail, and was out in a rented apartment, decorated and baby ready 5 weeks before he was due. Your daughter is a big girl with a good job. She will be just fine. NTA. She can perform artificial insemination on herself, but can't find an apartment. Kids A. XDNTA. Op. You may be morally right here, but what kind of relationship do you want with your daughter and grandkid? Your daughter may see this as a huge betrayal and really limit your contact. If you're okay with that, then proceed. Turkey baster in an ad sounds very fake. What kind of CD guys would be on that app? Info. A lot of people here seem to focusing heavily on her living in your house rent free. However, you didn't mention if she pays rent or not. Either way, she's not living there while just shooting the shit. She's trying to secure a permanent home for herself, which is the responsible thing to do. It's clear your daughter is a smart girl, which is why her decision to have a baby so much earlier than she originally planned and via a very questionable way raises major red flags. Have you discussed this with her on a deeper level? Is it possible that your daughter is displaying symptoms of something much more serious mentally? Perhaps, instead of immediately worrying about your space, worry about what is really going on with her. Yes, she made a very drastic decision without involving her parents. But that doesn't mean you just kick her out. Especially if there's something more serious going on and she's now responsible for a baby. I'm not sure if it or not. NTA. She's only 25. She could easily have waited another year or 2 until she had a house to have a baby. What's the big goddamn rush? You agreed to let her live in your house, not her and offspring. Okay. This is perhaps a culture/mentality thing, I guess. Italian here. I cannot imagine most parents here would throw their daughters out under these circumstances. Right. Her move was egoistic and wrong, and Op is understandably angry. Mildly put. But what it comes down to me is that she is still Op's daughter and he'll kick her out in a moment when she needs her parents. So I'd say both parties involved are the daughter for selfishly deciding this, even though she lives with her parents. Op for letting his own flesh and blood down in a moment shall need him. Please click subscribe if you enjoyed this video.